Hi, my name is Candy, and that's my friend Debbie. And we are Grandmas Out of Control. We have been in a foundational series. The first 3 videos are up on YouTube and out on Facebook right now. But today we're going to be talking about the reasons why we need to submit. Now we need to talk about what that submission looks like to Him in our gratitude towards Him. Debbie and I both have dogs. We are big dog lovers. I've got a small mixed mutt, but she's adorable. Her name is Coco Chanel. Debbie's dog is precious, but a little bit different. Debbie, what's his name again?
His name is Beetlejuice. He is a mini golden doodle, and he's named after the star Betelgeuse on the constellation Orion, the Orion's shoulder. It's a red supermassive giant star that is about to explode. So we kind of named him after our hobby, astronomy.
So today, though, we are going to be talking about submission and what that looks like to us.
The idea of submission to God is something that I was searching for on earth. I looked to my dog and I found many qualities that kind of compile what submission looks like. The first one, and this isn't my dog Beetlejuice, this is a dog that has been gone for about 18 years now, hard to believe. The dog, Duncan, every morning, the first thing he did in the morning was to seek my face. I was his master and he loved me. Duncan slept on the floor at the edge of at the bottom of the bed on my side. And every morning when he'd hear me stir, he would come over and he would put his little face in my face, but he wanted to see me first thing. And he would do this before he went out. It was the top of his priority. He made time for me first in his life. I decided that I was going to start seeking my master's face in the morning by praying. And I've been praying the same prayer for a few years in my bed to start the day. And it goes something like, good morning, Father, thank you for this day. Please give me the wisdom, the courage, the strength, and the faith to please you, to love those around me, and to make good decisions for myself. So I learned that from my dog, to seek his master's face first thing. So I started looking, what else can I learn from him? I'll eye him up. He's pretty good at this. He was better than me if he's teaching me things already. So the other thing I noticed about Duncan, and this took me a couple of years to figure out actually, he had his little place to sleep at night. But sometimes I woke up one night and he wasn't there. So I'm like, okay, what's the deal? I went hunting for him and I found him in the hall leading to our daughter's bedrooms. But the other thing that I noticed is my husband was away on a business trip. So I called him back to me and he came back and laid down beside me. And then sure enough, I got up again and he wasn't there. He was back where he was originally. So this started repeating and repeating. Every time my husband was away on business, the dog slept in front of my girls' rooms. He would be as close as he could be to me, but he would have to be stepped over by an intruder in the house to get to our daughter's bedrooms. So that quality taught me that he loved what I loved. And that's another sign of submission. He loved my children just like I loved my children. And he did it at his own expense too, because he had a much cozier bed in my room. So the third attribute that I saw in the dog was that when he would do something that was, let's just call it sinful. When he would commit some trespass against me and I would look at him and I didn't yell at him. I would just say, you've been a bad dog and you need to go to your corner. He would have this look of horror on his face, like, no, don't send me away. But the funny thing is watching him find a corner, because in a new house he would have to, like, where's my corner? I knew where it was in the last one. And he would be looking around
You're
with his
messing
look.
with me.
Yeah, and remember when we took him to retreats, I would tell him this in the middle of a retreat full of women. I would say, "Go to your corner," and he would just look at me with horror. And then he would try to find where is my corner because I don't know where it is here. And he would go sit in the corner and face the corner because and these women would be like more, oh, that's so horrible. Don't let him suffer like that. I'd have women crying sometimes. This pitiful look on his face. And then with one single word of forgiveness, he would run to me. The joy was just overflowing. But he grieved the thoughts of being separated from his master by his sin.
Mm.
Now, that is a sign of submission. When your own sin and the separation that it causes from you and your master gets in the way of that relationship. And he would just grieve and grieve until I would let him out. And it got to the point that I could barely do it. I mean, he would have to do something horrendous to have me send him to his corner because he took it so hard. But then the last and final attribute was how grateful and how thankful he was for every circumstance in his life. If I would brush him, and he hated it. Yes, he was a Shetland sheepdog. He was a Sheltie, so he looked like a little miniature lassie, and he had
It's
this
adorable.
long hair, and he hated it. He hated it. And I knew the second I put the brush down, he was going to jump, put his paws on my shoulder and kiss me. And when I would give him something, when I would have it in a hand, like say, he would get up and beg. And even if I gave him something lousy, I mean, I would give him rocks to see if he'd still beg, and he would. And he would kiss my hand at the end of it for giving him this. And one time, this sounds kind of sick, and it is probably, that I wanted to see how long it would take for him not to beg if I gave him a rock every time. And it finally, it didn't change him. He just kept begging for it and kissing my hand, and then I'd open it up and it was a rock. He'd do it again. He would keep doing it until it broke my heart that I couldn't do that to him anymore. So I spent the rest of the day giving him treats because I felt so terrible. So those are the 4 attributes that I was focusing on. And this is an example of what it looks like to be submissive to your master. Yes.
Yeah, that gratitude is remarkable when you see it, especially in the eyes of an animal.
Yeah.
It makes you feel just so good that you've done something good for them. But then you also, in relevance to this, it makes you realize how much more gratitude we should have in our lives to Christ. One of the funniest stories that I've heard you tell is about him at the back door of your house when the lawn men would come.
Yes. Now, from his perspective, he couldn't understand that every Friday these same 3 guys came and stole the top 2 inches of our grass. I mean, that's probably how he saw it. It's like, these guys are here again. They're taking the grass and you're doing nothing. And he would get so upset, and he would bark, and he would run back and forth looking at them and barking, and run to me to like, don't you see this? Aren't you going to fix it? And I would offer him comfort, and I would pet him, and he just would not accept my comfort on this. I was going to have the grass cut, whether he liked it or not. Some of it was for his benefit. If we would have had tons of fleas back there, it would have been to his detriment. He did not understand, nor could I explain to him, because he's a lower form of life in many ways. So that is so much like us. We run back and forth, and we fuss about whatever it is that's causing us this turmoil in our lives. We refuse to accept the comfort of our master on this and curl up on his knee and let him hold you, let him comfort you, let him get you through this storm.
I think in the long run, the bigger issue is how to learn to submit to Christ in your daily life and try to be a little bit more quiet about moaning and complaining about the things that maybe you can't do anything about.
Yes.
I think for the next few series, we're going to be talking about how to, act and get closer to Christ as we go along through the troubles and trials and tribulations of your life. So thank you so much. And we're Grandma's Out of Control.
Because?
Always, because God is in control.
Thanks. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.